All right, here we go. Lesson 8.5. You are working on graphing one final form. This looks kind of strange. It's got a lot of parentheses. Notice we still have the a value, but now we've got a set of two sets of parentheses, and then we've got two different numbers that we're getting. We're calling them p and q. That's not a big deal. What's important is the concept behind the p and the q. So I won't ever ask you what is p, what is q. You just have to know what those numbers are. This new form is called the intercept form, or some books will call it factored form. And you recall from last chapter when we worked with polynomials that we learned how to factor a polynomial. So just a reminder, here we have a polynomial in what we call standard form. Notice it goes in descending order by degree. And what we do to factor this is we put the x squared in that position, and we put the -8 over here in that position. And then we're asking ourselves what times what gives us x squared. And that's pretty easy. In this case, it's just x and x. Now, what times what is -8? Well, there's several options. It could be, let's see, 8 times 1 or 4 times 2. Now, we could also have, obviously, one of them needs to be negative. So which one am I going to choose? Normally, we would pick 4 and 2, and I'll just pick the 4 as the negative. But you can see this isn't going to work, because if I take x times 2, I get 2x. And then in the other box, I'm going to get -4x. And these two do not add up to 7x. And it won't matter if I switch my signs, because all I'll get is positive 2x or negative 2x. So, reminder, let's go then. This one did not work out, so I'll choose 8 and 1. Again, one of them needs to be negative. I'll randomly choose the negative, the 1 is negative. So in my lower left box here, I get -1x. In my upper right box, I get 8x. And now if I add these two up, I do get 7x. So I have factored correct. So my factoring is, remember, write these two together, x plus 8, and then write these two together, x minus 1. So that's a skill that's going to come in handy today when you can take a polynomial in standard form and write it in factored form. This is going to help us what we are calling our intercepts. So you will be able to see the x-intercepts in this type of graph. So that's one skill. Now they're going to use some vocab, one piece of new vocab that we need to add to our list. And that is, what are the zeros of the graph? Of the parabola. So the zeros are, where does the parabola cross the x-axis? All right, so the word x-intercepts and zeros are almost synonymous, okay? They mean the same thing. All right, so use Desmos to graph 1/2 times x minus 3 times x plus 2. So go over to your Desmos app, and we'll type that in. Y equals 1/2 times parentheses x minus 3. Is that what I said? Yep. And x plus 2. Close parentheses, open parentheses, x plus 2. Close parentheses. Now notice if we look at our intercepts here, where is it crossing the negative 2 comma 0, and 3 comma 0. And so we have our zeros as negative 2 comma 0 and 3 comma 0. So we see that we have a graph that kind of goes through those two dots. If I were to sketch it and I get a parabola that goes, whoops, does it go upward or downward? You probably noticed I forgot a negative sign, didn't I? So we come back here, put in a negative in front of there, and that does flip our parabola down. Got to go in the right way now. And so right? Now, where is the vertex and what is the range? So a couple little things here. What's that dot where it goes through? Is it like, for example, the y-intercept? Remember, this is the x. This is the y-axis. The y-axis, as you can kind of see, is not the vertex if we come back to here, right? The vertex, you can even see it's highlighted here. That point right there. Now, how do I get that point? Well, in Desmos, if you're looking at this, or if you're looking at the graph and you don't know how to get it, what you're going to do is we're going to take these two numbers and we're going to add them up. We're divided by 2. And that's going to give me 1/2 or 0.5. Okay, so I know my vertex is 0.5. I'll put 0.5 comma something. Now to get the 0.5 comma something, I would then plug into here and here 0.5. Okay, so I would have to take on my calculator negative 0.5 times 1/2 minus 3 and 1/2 plus 2. All right, and if you type that into your calculator, you will get negative 3.125. Sorry, positive, not negative. And if we come over here and we click on that, you can see you'll get 0.3125. Okay? All right, so I'm going to erase that just so I can fit my number in here, 3.125. That was probably the most work in this problem. Once you found that, that number is going to help you then find the range. Because remember, the range is describing what are the y values this graph uses. And we can kind of see that this graph uses all the y values starting here, going down. So what is that highest point that we get to? It's actually 3.125. So you just say then y is less than or equal to 3.125. All right, so we're going to go and try this second function over here. Notice again, they give it to us in this clever form. And what you can do then is find the zeros, find the vertex, then find the range. So without even, let's skip the graph for the moment. We can see that here we had a 0 of negative 2, and here we had a 0 of positive 3. Do you see that? So our zeros in this case then will be negative 5, because it's the opposite of what we see, and it's going to be negative 11 comma 0. Then my vertex, again, I'm going to get by taking the negative 5 plus the 11. So negative 5 plus negative 11 divided by 2. And I get negative 16 over 2, which is negative 8. So negative 8 comma something. What is my y value for that problem? Well, we got to plug it in. So I'm going to take 6 times negative 8 plus 5 times negative 8 plus 11. All right, so I'm going to get, let's see, 6 times, that's going to be negative 3, and that's going to be times positive 3. So I think I get negative 54. 9 times 6, yep, negative 54. So my vertex is negative 54. And we'll check this all on Desmos in a moment. And now I can use this information to get this information. So that means my parabola goes upwards. Yes? Okay, so I have a y value that is greater than or equal to negative 54. All right, and we'll type this in. Come over here. And again, we had 6 times x plus 5, so 6 times x plus 5, close parentheses, times x plus 11. And this parabola is really hard to see on our graph because we only see part of the parabola. And if we zoom out, we start to see, oh, okay, this is a parabola, but it goes way down below, right? And so that's a bit of a pain. Now, first of all, before we go down there and investigate where the vertex is, let's verify that we did have the correct intercepts, negative 5, negative 11. Sure enough, that worked out. And now we'll come down here and see if this was not negative 854. Let's see. Bam. Okay, so we did the right work. So we've learned how to use a equation written in this vertex form and find all this information about it. Yes? Finally, we're going to take a problem which is not written in vertex form, and we're going to factor it, and then we're going to find all this information. But to find the information, we're going to start with the zeros. That'll help us find the line of symmetry. It'll help us find the vertex and the shape and the direction. Okay? All right. So here we have our parabola, our quadratic equation. So we come over to our box so we can factor it, and I put the x squared in the 30. All right, and then we say again, factors of x squared, just x times x. Factors of 30. Again, you might need to make a list of these. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. So lots of different options. Well, in this case, I've got a positive 30, and I've got to add up to 17. Can you tell which of these pairs add to 17? So 2 and 15. Let's verify that that works. We get a 15x here, we get a 2x here. Voila, 17x. So now I've written it in factored form. X plus 2 times x plus 15. Well, now we know a whole bunch of information. I know my zeros. Remember, my zeros I just get from here. This is the new lesson, only it's always going to be the opposite. So my first zero is going to be negative 2, comma 0, and my second zero is negative 15, comma 0. Well, now we know where the line of symmetry is. It's going to be halfway between those two numbers. So that's where I take and I add them up, and I divide by 2. And negative 2 minus 15 is negative 17. So negative 17 divided by 2, I think, is negative 8.5. Whoop. Forgot. Line of symmetry is always x equals negative 8.5. Now we can get our vertex, which I forgot to list here, but it's something we need to always find because it's the most important. All right. So now I need to plug in negative 8.5, and you have an option. You can take the negative 8.5 here and here, or you can take it up to here and here. I think I'm going to take it to that top one. Looks maybe a little bit easier. And we can just use Desmos right here and say negative 8.5 parentheses squared plus 17 times negative 8.5 plus 30. All right, so there we have the answer, negative 42.25. So I know that my vertex is negative 42.25. Where does the graph cross the y-intercept? Oh, that's the c value here. So 0, 30. What was the translation of this graph? Did it go up, down? Is it slid, which way? So this went downward. So this went down, and because we know that the zeros are on this side of the graph, we know that it also shifted to the left. The shape is normal because the a value is 1 and the direction is upward because it's positive. So if I have to do a little graph of this, let me get this out of the way. I know that my intercepts are here and here. I know that the graph kind of goes in this direction and it goes upward. Yeah? So we can verify that by typing it in. Y equals, I don't think we even, yeah, I guess we do need that. What did we have? X minus 2, no, x plus 2. And then we had, what was the other one? X plus 15. And enter, and we'll zoom out to find it. There we are. This parabola is also one that's way down there in the bottom. Again, I can click on it down here and we can see that the coordinates are what we expected them to be, and our our intercepts or our zeros are -15 and -2. All right. Well, good luck with your homework. That was a little bit of a long video. Hopefully that makes sense to you as you work through those problems